That's great.
Okay, Kathy, you're good to go.
We're good to go. All right. Well, welcome to our Wednesday course spotlight session. This is Kathy Lawson, Chief Knowledge Officer of the Great Discovery. And I enjoy so much these sessions because we get to learn from our amazing course creators, and tonight will be no different. Let me go ahead and introduce to you Cheryl Johnson, who is our speaker and course creator tonight. Cheryl is a passionate educator, entrepreneur, and visionary who's all about helping people gain the knowledge and skills they need to thrive. She's not just an expert in teaching constitutional courses or leading historical tours. She also focuses on helping individuals create engaging learning experiences that truly make an impact in their organizations and communities. Cheryl is also the powerhouse behind the Fifth Principle Learning Cooperative. This inspiring project is all about teaching people how to navigate and build cooperative communities, giving them the tools to support and sustain it in practical, meaningful ways. So tonight, Cheryl's going to talk about a course called Crafting Courses That Motivate and Transform. It's all yours, Cheryl.
Well, thank you so much. Um, the good news is this is the free course. So it's just one where we kind of dip our toes in a little bit. It's all, asynchronous, 24/7 available, and it's short. I think that's what I think some people like most is when you're first getting familiar with something, oftentimes it's best to keep it simple, keep it short so that people can remember. So in the back of your mind, just think about what was the last time you had a learning experience where you remembered it, it made a big impact on your life, and you just wanted to go out and share it with everybody. I'll briefly share one of mine, and Tim brought up something. He says we don't like to learn from mistakes, but this is one of believe it or not, this is one of the times where I learned the most. It was years ago. I'll make it really short and sweet. I was early 1990s. I knew nothing. I had never touched a computer in my life. And all of a sudden I was tasked with starting a business to teach other people how to use computers. Yes. And so won't go into all the long, boring details. It was wintertime. I was trying to get from Wyoming out to Boston. It was snowing. It was crazy. We didn't get in till like 4 in the morning. Our rental car wasn't available. Everything that could have went wrong, went wrong. We got there. The course that I was, because I actually signed up for a course to learn to use this software. And it was a week-long course. And I am not exaggerating when I say every single day, the new computer they gave me did not work. I was not independently wealthy. I had spent a lot of money on this course. And now I was starting a business. I had no experience. And I came home. I took my little laptop computer, threw it in the closet, slammed the door with the tutorials, and I was mad. I was furious. Clue number one, create your why. And how do people learn? Emotion is probably the most driving force in any kind of learning experience. If you can tap into emotion, you've got it made. Well, I needed to settle down a bit because the kind of emotion I had probably wasn't the best. And so I took a couple weeks, opened the closet door, pulled out the laptop, got my tutorials out, and little bit by little bit, I went through those tutorials. And the good news was because I had sat next to the guy every day who was working on my computer, he didn't just take my computer and go somewhere else and come back. He sat there and I sat and watched him and I learned from him how to fix everything. Now, I was living in Wyoming at the time and I was traveling around the state. We didn't have cell phones back in the early 1990s. So I wasn't within easy reach of, tech support and those kind of things. So every time I'd go out to train somebody, I knew how to, every time their computer didn't work, I knew how to fix it because guess what? I had sat next to somebody. So what I came to appreciate from this experience, it was a very costly And most people don't like to make that kind of costly mistake. And most adult learners don't like to make that many mistakes. But I will tell you, it was probably the most powerful learning experience I ever had. So tap into emotion. And that's why we try to get into people's heads. Why in the world are you even taking this course? What kind of emotion can we tap into? Because even in an asynchronous course where people are just sitting there staring at a computer screen, if you can tap into emotion and get them to buy into some kind of idea, then they will want to engage with your course. Now, we won't go into all the other bullet points here, I guess you'd say, just briefly. Let's say, for example, you wanted, because I'm always a big person on, I'm not just going to tell you how to create a great course. I want you to come, dip your toes in, learn a little bit, take a little bit of time and learn a little bit of what here's on the screen, the bullet points here. But more important, I want you to think about you as the learner, if you were enrolled in the course. I assume you want to create a course. So think about your own course. What do you want to create? First thing that came to my mind as I was sitting there listening to Tim was my head was just spinning. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. How in the world am I going to remember all that? But you know what I remember? You refer three, you help them do the same, and then you do it again. So we get into the art and science of learning. That's kind of understanding how people learn. And these little things about threes are really important. So I took note of that while he did that, and I thought that was great. Another thing that I took note of is being able to support our learners. A lot of times that comes back into designing meaningful activities that will mean something to your end learner, because people learn, we talk about visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners. We're all kinesthetic learners. We all learn by doing. We all learn by physically getting engaged with whatever it is we're doing. So if I were, going to create an asynchronous course where Tim wasn't there to explain it all and go over it, and everything, I would take his course and I would say, okay, let's create some scenarios. Let's create some examples. And I would have, you plug in the numbers and you play with this and say, okay, if my goal is this, how many people do I need to enroll and at what level, kind of would I do that? And we usually don't do that in the initial stages. That's not the free course. The free course just kind of introduces you to these concepts. That's kind of the next phase because learning is a process. And then from there, there's the next stage of the game. If you went through this free course and then you went to the next stage and we as a group went through virtual in-person kind of thing. And then from there, if you really just had, a whole bunch of courses you wanted to create and you wanted me to work with you one-on-one and help you design a blueprint for all of your courses, that's what I would do next. Because I'm a big proponent of, like I said, practical application of everything you're doing. So the other thing that I really liked about what Tim, they have a cheat sheet. What did he say? Take it, print it, put it on your wall. Yeah, every day. That's your goals. There's a couple reasons why you want to do that because it reminds you of what your goals are, but it also reminds you of this compensation plan and how does it work and what do I need to do if I need to get from, silver to gold to platinum, how do I do that? Because I can tell you right now, I'm not going to remember any of it. And I don't know about you, but I really don't like to go back and listen to recordings over again. Um, I'm a pretty good note taker, but other people, everybody has their own way of doing it. So it's, that's the important part is to make sure that you understand your learners. That's another thing we get into. And, I'll viciously take notes and then what's relevant to me and here's my goals and here's how I'm going to do it. And then I'll take those notes and I'll keep those notes by that cheat sheet. So that's a lot of what we cover in this course. And the next one down the line here is, being able to define your objectives because you, not your learner, you need to be clear what it is you're trying to convey to make sure that the content that you're delivering is not only are people going to get the information they need, but what kind of activities, down to the activities, What kind of activities do they need to do to make sure that they're going to meet those objectives? So in a nutshell, that's what it's all about. So anybody have questions or comments that they want to share?
Yeah, we'll open it up for questions. I see a few people said they already went ahead and downloaded the course. That's great.
Oh,
So while we're waiting, oh, go ahead, Rick, I'll let you go. You're on mute too, so make sure you unmute.
Thought I muted myself, but apparently I
There you
didn't.
go.
Anyway, so one thing I learned from one of my coaches, he said, when you get in front of people, they want two things from you. They want to learn and they want to be entertained.
yes. And yes, and it's funny because a friend of mine reached out to me the other day and she's like, I know you've done corporate learning for like 30 years. And I'm like, first of all, I'm an instructional designer. I'm also a facilitator, but I would say the overwhelming majority of what I do is creating the courses. But just think back in your own life and think about the most impactful learning that you have. Sometimes it comes because somebody's entertaining, but that's because once again, they're tapping into that emotion. But most of the time we don't remember all of the entertaining people that was in this day and age. Oh my goodness, we have so many people who entertain us all the time. It's hard to keep track of them all. So entertainment is a key component. And when we get into the art and science, that's kind of the art side. So there is an art side, there's visuals that are helpful, and there's those types of things. So I won't discount the fact, but if you really want something that's going to make an impact that people are going to walk away and be able to take what they've learned and apply it, then we need to take it a step or two beyond that. And I talk a lot with my hands, if you can't tell.
All right, other questions?
If I can comment a bit further, one thing I learned from now this plays into the teaching and learning style, I guess. But one of the people I learned from, I've studied a bit, and I'm not saying he was one of my mentors or one of my coaches, but I learned a lot from him. There's a fellow named Joel Bauer, and he runs these 4-hour events, and he gets 300 people coming to them. And he said this is just part of his style. And he says one of the things he says when he's instructing and teaching people, he says, I don't teach at the speed of hearing, I teach at the speed of comprehension. So he slows himself down and repeats things.
Yes. And as we get into the art and science, see, you've already, why do you need to take the course? As you get into the art and science of things, repetition is very important. And that's also, once again, we talk about your audience and, where their skill level is and, that type of thing. But you keep referencing this coach, and we talk a lot about coaches and mentors and what a key role, and I mean key role, they play in learning, and how you can build coaching and mentoring programs that really, because I don't know about you, because like I said, let me go back to my corporate training days. I'd go and I'd facilitate courses, and the next day people would go off and they wouldn't remember anything they learned, and if they did, they couldn't apply it. So what I would try to do is always set them up with a coach or a mentor so that when they got back to the workplace, because you just can't teach everybody everything all at once. And so you teach them what you can, and then the coach and the mentor's there to kind of continue and guide them down that process. Or if they run into snags or difficulties or something they didn't encounter, like me and my class that I told you about, then you've got somebody to help you.
Joyce, got her hand raised.
Yes, thank you so much, Cheryl. I really enjoyed this. You spoke about visual, auditory, kinesthetic in your course. Where does it show up as far as what you declared that the kinesthetic part is vitally important?
When we start to understand how people learn. And like I said, we talk about the art and the science of it, and there is a lot of artistic side to it, and then there's a lot of science behind it. You've heard probably a lot lately about the neuroscience behind learning and what happens in our brains and how things, one of the, and this is just a little hack I'll tell all of you because it's just important in so many aspects of our life, especially nowadays because we do everything on a computer. I mentioned that I take notes. And even if I don't ever look at my notes again, I will tell you that taking notes is important and physically writing them down, not typing them on a computer, not I have an iPad and I have a little pen and I use that for all kinds of things. But when I want to remember something, I physically write it down because as you're writing it down, you're actually making an imprint in your brain. And even though you may not immediately be able to recall it, it's there. And so something will trigger it and it'll be like, oh, and it's weird. Now this is where I will say that there is more validity to what do you call it? Visual learning. Is you'll actually see in, not with your, like in your brain's eye, how's that, what you wrote. And so I encourage people to take notes.
Yeah, I've actually heard that, and I'm a terrible note taker, so I've listened to that for years thinking, dang, I should take better notes.
No, it has nothing to do with how good of notes you take. If you wrote down one word for every 10 words you heard, that's enough to trigger, oh, okay, now I remember that. As
Got it.
Tim was talking, these are my notes.
Uh-huh.
And that's all. But I remember you refer 3, help them refer 3, and then do it again. It's the power of 3s, but it's also that I wrote it down.
Got it.
Yeah, have you heard 1 + 1 = 3?
I haven't, but I like that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, other questions or comments? I do have a question, Cheryl, because you mentioned, and I saw this was a free course. Are you putting you're going to put a progression or at least a premium course on as well, and that's coming soon?
Yes, let's see if we go to let me see if I can get this content to come here. Okay. This is what this little course is all about. Why do your learners care about your content? Learning takes time. What are the objectives? Design meaningful learning activities, provide accountability and support. And my ultimate secret weapon, you have to take the course to find out. But then so what now? After so what now is what comes next.
Great. Okay, good. Yeah, I think everybody appreciates that because it's a nice way to introduce you as a course creator through a free course, and then have that little carrot that says, if you like this, go take her premium course, right? Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Okay, other questions or comments? I think we can all benefit because as course creators, we're trying to make it as engaging as someone who's always taught in a classroom most of my adult career. Putting it digitally is a whole different thing.
It is.
And trying to maintain all these points that you have here, those things to think about. So it seems so much more difficult.
It can be, but we make it easy.
Great. Yep, that's another carrot for taking the course. All right, who else? I'll make a quick comment just about the next session at 7:30, Dr. Yovanka's course creator introduction to the Great Discovery as well. So if you're interested in that, and I believe her website is We Speak to the World. So https:// We Speak to the World. So that's at 7:30.
The cafe instead of 7.
Okay, great.
She's West Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Dr. Yovanka is West Coast, so it'll be
6:30.
9:30. It's 9:30 Eastern time. It'll be 6:30 West Coast time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate your time tonight, and I have a super early day tomorrow, so I'm going to pop off if there's no more questions or comments.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. We appreciate you being here and look forward to this course and then the one to follow.
Yes.
Yay.
See you there. Thanks.
Okay. Oh, Chrissy, really quick, you have a question?
Sure.
Yes. Sorry.
I have a question. Should I put my about on my courses? Because this is an important reason why I do what I do.
From my perspective, I would say yes.
Okay.
Kathy, my about has my company about, and then she had my personal bio. So it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, because that's the other thing I will tell you. Learning is half marketing, half teaching.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree. And what Cheryl's talking about is I always use the creator biography that you put up to introduce you and these course creators, unless you guys send me something different. And what I noticed with Cheryl's was it was about her company, and what I really wanted was about her. So she sent me that beautiful intro that I read to you, because I mean, that's, you want to get to know the person, and that was special. But she's got a really great discussion about her company and what they and her organizations and what they do. So definitely think that's worth looking at as well. So yeah, put all of that down, Christy. People want to know, and it helps build that that know, like, trust that we always talk about. We get to know you through your free course. We get to like you through the way you present that course. And then we trust you when we're ready to move on to the next course, where we're going to put some money out because we trust you enough to take us to that next level. So definitely.
Okay. Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
And one more thing, the ultimate secret weapon is not AI, but I can show you how to use AI to rapidly create courses.
Yeah, that's good too, because it does take so much time, and AI is right there, right? So absolutely. All right, going once, going twice. Any more questions? Because it sounds like Cheryl would like to wrap the session. But we'll to
Okay.
your questions. All right, well, thank you again so much, Cheryl. Appreciate it.